Hello. Thank you for joining us today as we host our monthly recurring discussion titled Introduction to Bitcoin IRAs from Unchained Capital. The purpose of this session is to provide an overview of the IRA landscape, talk through Bitcoin IRAs in general, introduce the Unchained IRA, and of course, we'll leave time at the end for a live Q&A with the audience. We're happy to have you with us today. We really appreciate your interest in our platform. Now, before we proceed, if you can't stay the whole time or just want to speak with someone from our team, please feel free to click the link that's going to pop up on your screen here to book time directly on our calendar, or visit the Bitcoin IRA page on the Unchained website, unchained.com, at any time to schedule a consultation. I'm Connor Dolan. I am a vice president on our client solutions team. And today I am joined once again by my counterpart, Jeff Vandrew, general counsel at Unchained Capital. And today we're going to cover the basics of Bitcoin IRAs. We'll talk about how to control the private keys to your Bitcoin within an IRA. And as I mentioned, we will have some time at the end here for a live Q&A with the audience. Now, before we get into it, a few quick housekeeping items. First, I did want to point out that our YouTube channel is a great resource for all sorts of educational Bitcoin content. We have webinars that teach you about our collaborative custody platform. We have webinars designed to make you a better, smarter Bitcoiner. And you can find the replays to all of our webinars, including this one, on our YouTube channel. So highly recommend you subscribing to our channel to stay up to date with the latest content that we're coming out with here at Unchained, and subscribing to our newsletter as well to get notifications about upcoming webinars and new blog posts from Unchained. Secondly, for your reference, you can download the presentation deck by clicking the little cloud icon in the top right corner of the presentation window if you're watching live. And most importantly, once again, if you're watching live, in order to participate in the Q&A, you can submit your questions to be answered by navigating to the bottom right corner of the screen, clicking that questions box. There you can also see questions that were asked by other members of the audience and vote for the ones you'd like answered. If you are watching on YouTube, certainly leave questions in the comments and we will do our best to answer as we can. With that, let's take a look at the agenda for today's discussion. So in just a moment, I'm going to pass the baton over to Jeff to cover why one should consider setting up a Bitcoin IRA. We'll talk through the broader tax advantages of IRAs in general, as well as the different types of IRAs that you could potentially set up. Then we'll take some time talking through the importance of controlling your private keys to your Bitcoin and how you can do that within the context of the Unchained IRA. Then finally, we'll open it up to questions from the audience. So with that, I think we are ready to get started. Thanks everyone for joining us today. Mr. Vandrew, the floor is yours.
Thanks a lot, Connor. So yeah, first of all, we'd like to talk about why exactly a Bitcoin IRA might be useful for a lot of our clients. So it's important to understand right off the bat that $35 trillion is currently locked in U.S. retirement accounts. And I actually pulled that number some time ago, so I would be willing to bet it's actually higher now. Moving some of that money into an IRA, as opposed to having to liquidate your IRA, pay the tax, and then buy Bitcoin outside of an IRA, minimizes the government's share and maximizes your Bitcoin stack. And even if you don't have a retirement account that you're looking to roll over, in other words, if you're not part of that 35 trillion that I just spoke about, if you're doing an annual stack, doing that within a Roth IRA means that all of your future appreciation is going to be tax-free. I also want to take a step back here and talk a little bit about what an IRA actually is. So an IRA, or an individual retirement account, is a tax-advantaged retirement account held by an individual that's not tied to his employer. IRAs do allow annual contributions, but often the major funding source for an IRA happens when someone leaves his employer. And this is because separation from an employment allows an individual to roll over the balance out of their workplace retirement plan into the IRA. And when we're talking about workplace retirement plans throughout this webinar, what we're talking about for most of you is going to be a 401k, but it would also include a 403b, a 457, a TSP, Some employers still refer to a 403B as a tax-sheltered annuity. Those are all workplace retirement plans. Even a defined benefit pension would count if you have one that allows lump sum distributions. It's also important to keep in mind the difference between a traditional IRA and a Roth IRA. A traditional IRA is funded pre-tax. So after age 59 and a half, withdrawals from a traditional IRA are taxed at ordinary income rates. Traditional IRAs are usually funded by transferring an existing traditional IRA or rolling over a workplace retirement plan other than a Roth workplace retirement plan. A Roth IRA, on the other hand, is funded post-tax. So after age 59 and a half, assuming it's been at least 5 years since you first opened since you first opened any Roth IRA, and also 5 years have passed since any traditional IRA funds were converted to Roth funds, all your withdrawals from that Roth IRA are going to be totally free of all taxes. These Roth IRAs usually get funded by a rollover from an existing Roth IRA or from a Roth subaccount within your workplace retirement plan, sometimes what would be colloquially called like a Roth 401k. Rollovers from employer plans, it's important to make a distinction here. So if it's a workplace retirement plan from a former employer, meaning you've separated from employment at that employer for whatever reason, that's always eligible by law to be rolled over into an IRA. You can be 100% sure that that's the case. However, if you're talking about a workplace retirement plan that's offered by the employer where you're still actively employed, that's a little bit more difficult to parse out. The employers have some leeway about when they do and do not allow outbound rollovers out of their retirement plan if you're still working there. So if you're thinking about rolling over into an IRA from a 401k or other workplace retirement plan at an employer where you're still employed, what you want to do is you want to check with your plan administrator to see if you were eligible for what's called an in-service distribution. Depending on your circumstances, your employer may not allow in-service distributions at all. They may only allow them if you're over age 59 and a half, or they may allow part of your balance to be to leave in an in-service distribution, but require that you keep part of the balance in the workplace retirement plan. It really varies on how your plan is set up, so you do need to ask. Now, Connor's going to talk a little bit about how you can secure your IRA with multisig.
Thanks, Jeff. So before we talk about the Unchained IRA more broadly, I would like to take a moment to discuss Unchained Capital and our platform for anyone out there that may not be aware of what we do, because the IRA is actually just one small part of what we offer. Unchained is a Bitcoin native financial services company, and our core mission is to empower individuals to control their private keys to their Bitcoin. So what does that mean exactly, to hold your own private keys? As many of you out there are aware, a core aspect of where Bitcoin gets its value from is the fact that you do not have to rely on a third party to help you secure your wealth. It's kind of akin to individuals that own physical gold or large amounts of cash. The intention of those individuals is that those instruments are bearer assets. They provide final settlement. And for someone to take that wealth from you, they would need to physically come and take it. The alternative would be to store your wealth with a third party like a bank, or in the Bitcoin world, an exchange. But as we are continuously seeing around the world in an increasing fashion, with the push of a button, you can be blocked from accessing your bank accounts and ultimately prevented from accessing your own wealth. Bitcoin, among the many other benefits it provides, is a digital bearer asset. It offers the same benefits as physical gold from a final settlement point, but it improves on it because, of course, it's much easier, much less expensive to secure a significant amount of wealth. And of course, I can also send it across the world instantaneously, essentially at no cost. It just begins to scratch the surface of the difference between Bitcoin and gold, but you get the idea. Now, without getting too deep into the technical weeds here, All of this, Bitcoin's blockchain, is built off of something called public-private key cryptography. Bitcoin lives on addresses, and each address on the Bitcoin network has a public and a private key associated with it. The private key is used to create a matching public key, and the public key is used to create an address that you can actually send Bitcoin to. Now, importantly, all of this is one-way cryptography. So you can't work backwards, for example, from a private key to identify you can't work backwards from a public key to identify the private key. What this allows for is a system where I can provide a deposit address to the world without revealing my identity. And only the individual who is securing the private key has the ability to prove to the network that the Bitcoin is theirs, and therefore they can send it wherever they want. This is true for every address on the Bitcoin network, even the ones that live on an exchange. The only difference is that the exchange controls the private keys to that Bitcoin that you have on the exchange and not you. So how do I control my own private keys? That's the next question. Well, you can use a hardware wallet like a Trezor, which I'm holding up here, or a Ledger or a Cold Card. These devices specialize in storing that private key offline, off the internet, and allows you to be the only person in the world that has access to that Bitcoin. Now, the Bitcoin, importantly, it doesn't live on this device. Only the private key does. And that private key allows me to prove to the network that the Bitcoin is mine, and therefore I can send it wherever I want. But if that private key were to be lost or destroyed or stolen, can't be recreated, and so your Bitcoin could be gone forever. What's really cool about the Bitcoin network, though, is that you can create addresses with multiple private keys so that if you lose one, you can still recover your Bitcoin. And that's where Unchained comes into play. So what Unchained Capital helps you do is create an address on the Bitcoin network that has 3 private keys associated with the Bitcoin address. And we set it up so that you need any 2 of those 3 keys in order to access the Bitcoin. There's a little diagram on the screen here that might be a good visual. The way it works is that we control 1 key, and you, the client, controls 2 keys in the form of 2 hardware wallets. It's kind of like, the analogy I like to use is kind of like a digital safety deposit box that has 3 keys, 3 keyholes, or 2 keyholes rather, I guess, and you need any 2 of those 3 keys to open that safety deposit box. We are the banker in that analogy. We only have 1 key. We do not have the ability to open that digital safety deposit box ourselves. On the flip side, though, you have 2 keys. You have unilateral access to the Bitcoin. You can access your Bitcoin at any time. You can even access it outside of the walls of Unchained Capital. So even if we were to disappear off the face of the earth, you would still have the ability to access your Bitcoin, because remember, Bitcoin lives on the blockchain. It isn't held at Unchained. Importantly, though, if you were to ever lose a key or one of your keys were compromised or stolen, we can help you recover that Bitcoin with your second key that's in a different location and our backup key. So in short, collaborative custody allows you to really have your cake and eat it too. You still get to be the only person in the world with access to your Bitcoin, but you aren't on an island in terms of learning how to do all of this yourself, learning how to use these devices and build these addresses. But additionally, you have someone, Unchained, sharing the responsibility of securing your keys alongside you. Now, if this sounds overwhelming, not to worry. We have a concierge onboarding service. They are absolutely best in class in terms of what they do. They are some of the best Bitcoin experts in the space. And you can sign up for a one-on-one call with them where they will walk you through every step of the process, from setting up these devices to building your 2 of 3 multi-signature address. You can even order the hardware wallets through us if you need to. Every address on our platform is structured this way. And the broader idea of our platform is that with 1 login and 2 of these devices, you can build as many of these vaults or addresses on our platform or through our platform that you'd like. And you can do that within different contexts. So for example, you can build a 2 of 3 multi-signature address for personal Bitcoin. You could also build a 2 of 3 multi-signature address, what we call a vault, for a business, like or an LLC or a family trust. And of course, you can build a vault on behalf of an IRA account, allowing you to hold real Bitcoin in an IRA that you control two of the three keys to. And that brings us to the Unchained IRA. So the Unchained IRA is the only service in the space that allows you to hold real Bitcoin in a standard IRA account and control the keys to that Bitcoin. So how does it work? Well, we start by setting up an IRA for you at Solera National Bank, who is our IRA financial services partner. And we'll walk you through building one of these two of three multi-signature vaults titled to that IRA. We support traditional, Roth, and SEP IRAs at this time. Once your account is set up, which typically takes about 1 to 2 weeks to get that IRA account, that new IRA account set up at Solera, and a 2 of 3 address built through our platform titled to that IRA. It takes about 1 to 2 weeks to do that. Then you can transfer over dollars from an existing IRA, roll over dollars from an old 401k, or send in an annual contribution check or wire for your annual contribution. We'll take your retirement dollars, convert them into Bitcoin through our trading desk, and deposit them into your IRA vault for long-term storage. The end result is real Bitcoin in a tax-advantaged IRA that you control the keys to. It is truly one of a kind, the only product in the space that allows you to do this in a standard IRA. If you're interested in learning more about the product and our platform in general and would like to speak with someone, feel free to set up time with us by clicking the link that's popped up on the screen. Or if you're watching on YouTube, just visit our website at unchained.com and navigate to the Unchained IRA page, and there will be a little consultation link to set up time with our team. So with that, we have reached the end of the agenda for today. For those watching live, please hang out for a second and we'll jump right into the Q&A. For everyone else, thank you very much for your time. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to our team at IRA@unchained.com, or you can set up time to speak with the team by visiting unchained.com. We really appreciate your interest in our platform. Hope you all have a great day. Keep stacking sats, and we'll see you soon.